Testing, testing. Hello, guys. Welcome back to my channel. And tonight we were talking again about homeschooling, right? In my last video, I talked about how homeschooling, one of the myths of homeschooling is that your relationship with your child be can be compromised because you are spending so much time together, or you are expecting that their learning ability is going to increase a certain way or at a certain amount at a certain pace, and it's not happening. Or you're expecting to cover a certain amount of material in a particular time, in a particular style, and you guys are lagging behind because they're not getting up to go to a classroom. There is no regimented scheduling. And you just find yourself in a situation that you're constantly dictating to your children or child what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. I call this the school mom mentality syndrome. And it comes from the fact that if we were not homeschooled ourselves, we have a particular mentality towards education that does not exist in the confines of homeschooling. In homeschooling, your child has the ability, and you, by the way, have the ability and the flexibility to choose how you want to go about this. And that has when you get that, you have it's impactful in your approach. You tend to stop thinking about the things that I just talked about in a way that everything seems to be mandatory. And that is the reason, one of the main reasons. I'll talk about the other reasons why people are opting for homeschooling, but what's one of the main reasons that a lot of people find it good to homeschool, because you do not have all the regimentation and the scheduling that school has in that sense. And so you have the flexibility to learn at a pace that is comfortable for your child, or teach at the at a pace that is comfortable for you. I know a lot of us don't have backgrounds in education, and so it might be a very overwhelming experience in the beginning to have to feel like you have all of these subjects that you have to cover. But in my experience, I've learned how interconnected subjects are in terms of how one subject connects to the other. And I've been able to capitalize each subject to link it to the other one so that I cover more things in one conversation. I'm going to give you an example. The other day, when during the pandemic, we would go for lots of walks when it was allowed for us to get out more often. And I have two daughters. One is like majorly different in age gap than the other. And we were walking down the pathway, and it had just rained, and there was a worm on the pathway. And my eldest daughter asked, how can you tell if a worm is male or female? And I was like, flabbergasted by the question. Like, that's a really good question. Let's go home and find out. So we got on the internet and asked Uncle Google, got on a video, then went down to David Attenborough, I think is his name, who does a lot of science and nature documentaries. And we just went down this rabbit hole of how certain animals don't have a biological sex, they're asexual, and what that means. And there's a specific scientific name for it that I now forget, but if you ask them, they still remember all of that information. And why this might seem like a trivial thing, I then realized that my daughters are actually pretty much into science, which is something that I never really realized before. We take a lot of walks in nature, and every time we go out in nature, we learn something new. We're coming back home and researching it and talking about our walk. I was very intentional about making sure that it was a learning experience, and they were very intentional in the fun part of this experience. So they're looking at flowers and plants and figuring out why one looks different from the other, among many other things. And so all I would do is maybe present a few questions to them and see where it goes. No pressure. No must, no obligatory need. Like, it wasn't like, here's a pen and paper, write this down and answer these questions. You can do that, but that did not work for me. The other thing that I've been able to do a lot of is to spend a lot of time learning what they're learning in school. Well, my daughter is in school, the younger one is at home. And what we do is that we're also, especially in subjects that I'm not really familiar with, we're learning together. So they not only develop, what I focus on mainly in my classroom setting is creativity and creativity in methodology of learning. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but I have an entire course on coming up soon on how to homeschool. And so it's going to drop in a couple of months, so look out for that announcement. And basically, it's talking about these kinds of methodologies. So what I do is I pay attention to what works in the learning style of my child, and pay attention to the subjects that they are most interested in. And you can then see from that the interconnectivity or opportunities to include other subjects in that subject. I know it might sound very complicated, but it's super easy. If I'm doing a painting exercise, I might have her paint numbers a particular color because she likes painting. I've actually had to do the opposite when it comes to reading because my daughter is really into math. So math is included in everything. So if I'm teaching reading, she's reading the numbers. She's writing the names of the numbers out. So like the word 3 or the word 4. And that is something that she's super interested in. And it has improved her reading and learning ability. She's also a really big crafter. And so when we have when we have arts and craft day, you will find us doing arts and craft projects that are specifically linked to things that she likes, like numbers and adding and subtracting, and also things that she's not so inclined to, like reading and writing. And that has increased her. She wants to show you, yeah, like, oh, these are stickers and we made these ourselves. I know you can buy them, but for us, the more authentic and personal it is, the learning experience, the more pride the student, your child, will take in the end result. Look at what I made. And it becomes very emotional. A lot of learning is emotional anyways. And so this is something that I also love to capitalize, is the sense of pride that one feels when one is able to do something. And you will find yourself being able to have that sense of pride too, because you and your child have had an experience and a result that was positive, and you now shared that experience together as a memory that no one can take away from you. The last thing is the level of trust that every parent out there has had the experience at some point in their child's development where they were asking 100 million questions every day. Why this and why that? And every answer led to another why. That is your child's natural curiosity, and the curiosity is actually a desire for learning. And that should say to you that if your child is doing that they trust that you have the answers to everything. They literally believe everything you tell them, and they literally believe that you know everything. And it's very good when you're able to say, I don't know, but we can go and find out, and you find out the answer together. They develop a sense of trust in you and in themselves to be able to get things done and to seek answers when they need it. That is such a liberating and freeing experience that I learned, especially this is the major part of the methodology of learning that helps everyone to understand why learning is their responsibility and nobody else's. Nobody else's. So just know that you're not in this alone. And that anytime your child has a question, they know that they can find out the answers and they can capitalize on their natural curiosity to learn more about everything that interests them. This methodology is called, well, I told you what the methodology is. It's my own personal brand, so patented. But this will actually help your child to develop a lifelong desire and joy in learning. Learning doesn't stop when you leave school. And it also will help them to be more successful in their endeavors because they know how to seek answers instead of have answers given to them. And they will learn how to question things and make informed decisions and be able to make decisions that benefit them the most. And I think that that is something that is a gift the biggest gift that any parent can give their child. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this short clip. Please look out for the course on homeschooling and teaching. If you're a teacher, might be very useful information. If you're a homeschooling parent, this is also a very good place to be. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.